Imagine, if you would, for a moment, living in a room a little larger than your bathroom. 3 walls and bars, constant confinement. Imagine having eyes on you at all times, hoping that you will slip up in even the slightest little way so that they can have an excuse to come down on you. Imagine that even if they can't come up with that excuse, they will make one up in order to throw you into solitary confinement, transfer you to another prison, take away your good time. Imagine all this for no other reason than standing up for your people, being an activist. Not because you're a criminal, because you were there for the people. Imagine being in prison on a frame-up, on a situation that has numerous pages of constitutional violations, where in any other case one constitutional violation is enough for a new trial. But in your case, it doesn't matter how many constitutional violations are found, because the Constitution does not apply to you. Imagine the life of Leonard Peltier. Imagine being in prison because multinational corporations wanted to steal more native land. A continuous process that started from when Christopher Columbus first walked upon the shores of North America, and it has not stopped ever since. They'd like you to think that the native struggles and so-called Indian wars ended over 100 years ago, but they continue today as a continuous process. It's not always a military confrontation. Sometimes it's things like assimilation programs and getting rid of reservations. Sometimes it's forced sterilization of native women. The whole thing is about getting to the resources on native land: coal, oil, uranium, and other such things. Today it's about Pine Ridge, or the Dene land of Big Mountain, or the Western Shoshone. Yesteryears that it was about every part of the United States. This is a continuing process. Leonard Peltier and AIM stood up against that process. They stood up against the theft of Pine Ridge land, over a quarter of the reservation where they found uranium. On the same day as the set up, conspired firefight on Pine Ridge, that section of the reservation was being illegally signed over to the government. This is the type of stuff that Leonard Peltier has had to endure for 36 years. In the first trial of AIM activists for what happened at Pine Ridge, they were found not guilty for reason of self-defense. Then the trial was moved illegally to Fargo, North Carolina, to a judge that had very blatant anti-native sentiment and was an extreme right-wing activist. That judge refused all evidence of the conditions of Pine Ridge and the reality that Leonard and the other AIM people at that encampment that day did nothing more than defend themselves against a planned attack. The reason why they wanted that attack on that day is that they learned from Wounded Knee that happened 2.5 years before then that a long drawn-out occupation creates too much media spotlight on them, and they wanted something that could be over very quick, where they could suppress AIM and the traditional elders, draw the attention away from the theft of that section of Pine Ridge, all in one event at one time. They didn't count on the fact that the people there that day might be able to defend themselves. They didn't account for the fact that those people had come to Pine Ridge on the request of the traditional elders to help defend them, because in the 2.5 years since Wounded Knee there had been over 60 murders, towns shot up, cars driven off the roads. One village they shot up completely one night, and this type of terrorism AIM was there to help defend them from. So AIM on that day thought that they were defending themselves and the elders on that land from a terrorist attack, which in fact it was. It was a planned out attack. For these reasons, Leonard has had to endure 36 years in prison, and the only thing that is going to change that is you, the people. Last time we had a clemency campaign, when President Clinton was president, we almost got the clemency, but then the other side started to organize. We know that because 500 FBI agents don't march in front of the White House for no reason. They were fearful that Leonard would be granted clemency. I believe, as I was active in those that campaign back there, that had 50% of the people that say they support Leonard had done so actively, Leonard would have been freed back then. Now we're in a new clemency campaign, and again people question our tactics, what can be done to free Leonard, and come up with all kinds of excuses to do very little. It comes down to this: if you believe that Leonard should be freed, if you believe in social justice, you've got to act for Leonard. We know one thing for sure, beyond any shadow of a doubt: doing nothing will accomplish nothing. As long as we are trying, there is always hope. We are at the point in the clemency campaign right now where we have a petition to the White House. This petition is set up at a White House website for petitions. This is not some general petition out there in the internet. This is set up by the White House itself. We had 30 days to get 500 signatures. We have 12 days left to get another 1,000 signatures. We need your help desperately, because though this petition may just add on to the struggle, political struggle of getting Obama aware of Leonard Peltier, and may in itself not free Leonard, but the lack of support of Leonard by not getting enough signatures in time will show a lack of support, and that will greatly harm Leonard. If you care about Leonard at all in any way, please get on to that website and sign that petition. If you care about what type of country you're living in a country that does not persecute activists, does not throw out the Constitution just because you speak out against greed, then sign that petition. If you're an activist, realize that that could be you sitting in prison if you were at the right place at the right time, standing in the way of the forces of greed. Any activist can be persecuted in this country in the same way, as long as we allow the persecution of Leonard Peltier to continue and not to end. So as a person, for your own individual reasons, for your own sake, for your family's sake, please sign that petition today and try to get other people to sign it. We have to get that last 1,000 signatures. So please stop and think about the life of Leonard Peltier, what he is having to go through, and to realize that in 36 years, Leonard has not broken, has not gone back on his commitment to struggle for the people. Leonard is in prison for us, and we should be out here for him. Please sign that petition today. Thank you very much.